Law enforcement and intelligence experts in France will spend the next several weeks and months trying to untangle how they were caught completely unawares in the terrorist killing of a dozen people on the streets of Paris in broad daylight. In the end, it will come down to intelligence and perhaps some brutal realizations some political types would rather not make. Let's welcome to MidPoint retired Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Army Special Forces, 23 years involved in foreign internal defense, counterinsurgency, and stability missions around the world. Founder, CEO of Stability Institute, and author of the upcoming book Game Changers, Going Local to Defeat Violent Extremists, Stabilize Rough Places, and Make Us Safer at Home. Pleasure to welcome Scott Mann into the show. Scott, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Ed. It's good to be here.
Scott, is one of the biggest problems we have, and as I'm looking today and a lot of the reaction to what happened in Paris, Howard Dean said today, don't call the Paris attackers Muslim terrorists. Do we not need to just stop light-footing around and basically call these people who they are and stop PCing our way around a problem that is global?
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right about that. That's one of the biggest things that concerns me right now is that even in light of this, so many people at the national leadership level are still reluctant to call this what it is. Which is, a terrorist attack by Islamist violent extremists. And, we might think we're done with the global war on terror, but it's not done with us yet. These guys have us firmly by the belt buckle. And if we don't wake up to it soon, what's happened in Paris, we're going to start seeing a lot more right here at our doorstep.
We keep saying that, though. We need to wake up to it. So, Scott, then in your interpretation, what is that hurdle that we've got to overcome? It can't just be simply as having the president use the word terrorism. There's got to be something more here.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's more than just everybody acknowledging that this is a threat. But, it starts with, at the national level, at the leadership level, the acknowledgement that we are facing Islamist violent extremists and that we need to, stop trying to lose and actually try to defeat them. And again, the political correctness and just dabbling in it is only engendering tribal violence against us. So it starts there. But, the reason I wrote my book Game Changers is because what we're doing right now to try to go after these guys with the drone strikes and the, intermittent airstrikes and the occasional SEAL raid is not having an effect. In fact, it's actually putting us more at risk.
Then what's the game changer?
We've got to get local.
What is the game changer? Then what is that game changer?
The game changer is to go local. We need to go into the clan tribal areas where these guys establish their safe haven. And we need to, there are a range of people in these areas, whether it's Afghanistan, Yemen, Iraq, at the clan tribal level that are willing to fight back and push back against these folks. We did it in Afghanistan late in the war. It had very prolific effects, and it's the only way we're going to defeat these guys and deny their safe haven. We've got to go local, and we've got to work with locals to stand up against them.
A minute left then. When it comes to going local, let's talk about here in America. Is it then incumbent upon us to tell the weak-kneed in this country to stop trying to hide behind political correctness and understand that the next victim could be you or your family?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to get into these rough places, which means we've got to go against the traditional grain of working through corrupt governments like the Iraqi government as the singular solution. We've got to put our Green Berets and other advisors out into these rough areas, empower them to work from the bottom up, and let them mobilize resilient leaders in these areas that can push back against these guys. But it's going to take us acknowledging the threat and assuming some risk to get after it. It's the only way. We've got to change, adapt, recognize this threat, and meet them where they are, not where we want them to be.
20 seconds. Do you think that's actually going to happen, though, Scott?
Well, again, the reason I wrote the book Game Changers and started the StabilityInstitute.com is to start a grassroots movement on this. And we're starting to build some momentum here. We're starting to bring key leaders in. We're starting to bring American citizens. We need to call for this as a platform change as we go into this presidential election, that we really need to change how we're fighting these guys. We need to get local on these guys and get serious about defeating them. And it's going to take every American standing up and demanding it. And I'm certainly in that camp, and I intend to help lead that effort through the Stability Institute and the book.
And the book is Game Changers. Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. We'll see you around.
Coming up next, an old friend of mine who's now the American living in Paris.